Okay. Allison, are you really frozen?
Can you guys see me?
I can
Frozen
see
for
you.
me? Maybe
No.
all my kids are on the maybe all my kids are on their iPads right now, and I should go beat them senseless. Real. Oh, we're on the air. Sorry. Being taped. I forgot. All right. Ready? Okay. Boy, it feels funny if we take a week off. I'm like so out of practice now. John, edit here. Hello. Welcome to Techlandia. How are you doing? I'm grouchy old man, Grandpa Sammy, down in Austin, Texas. Over in Portland, Oregon, we have the lovely and talented.
Allison Anderson, also known as Ted Rosisi.
Okay, good, because right when you talked there, your lower third came on and you came to life. That was kind of like a cool effect. Maybe we need to talk to Google about that. That could be the new effect. It's I'm frozen. No, I'm not. Bam, and then you just
I hope that's not a bad sign for the night.
Over in La Crosse, Wisconsin, we have the dashing first man of EdTech.
Hey, thank you very much. It's me, Kurt Reese.
And our special guest tonight, in the bright lights of San Francisco, I can hear The Journey playing in the background. And Chris is like, Journey, who's that? No, we have. Okay, good. We have the lovely and talented Krista Moroder. Krista, tell us your Twitter handle and where you're at.
EdTech coaching, and I've never had the fake round of applause before. That's pretty
she's
exciting.
frozen? Could you hear her?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
John,
am I frozen?
Yeah,
Is Krista frozen?
No, she's
No,
not.
it's like John's in his own universe or something, right?
Yeah. John, just be quiet for the next
Okay,
hour.
well, I'm not. I really don't have. Hold on. Sorry, wait. Hold on. I am stopping Techlandia. Hold on. I'm getting my family off the internet.
Are we really stopping or just proverbially stopping? John, edit here.
And here. And here. This is high
need
quality.
some music or
entertainment,
something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, what's the music? Okay.
Holy cow! I have to go down there and crack some skulls. It's like Supernatural takes precedence over Techlandia. I'm sorry, Netflix, cut off for a little bit. Okay, all right, I'm composed now. See, I knew I would melt down. I didn't know I was going to have a meltdown right away because I can't hear anything. All right. So everything is good with you guys? Everything's fine? I'm going to re-edit this.
Yeah.
All right, so how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Now, the reason we called you on the show is forget all this ed tech stuff, forget all the ISTE, emerging leader stuff. What did Solange say to Jay-Z in the elevator? Tell us.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't
No
follow
speculation?
Jay-Z or Beyonce or any of that. I found out about it a little bit later, and I meant to Google it, but I never did.
I don't know. I think it's a mystery with Solange. I really liked Solange when she was on Yo Gabba Gabba, but I don't know. I just saw a
Beat him up?
different
Is that what happened? I didn't hear the whole story. She beat him up, or he beat her up?
It was a little bit of both. I don't know if I don't know. Jay-Z was kind of bobbing and weaving himself and trying to hit her away, and there's bodyguards, and Beyonce the whole time just kind of sat there vacant and just was like, what's going on? I don't know. So it gave me a little insight into their world, which is it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's cray. All right. So anyway, well, thanks for being on the air. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
This
is who we've been waiting for forever.
I know. I'm sorry. Then I get her with the Jay-Z question right off the bat.
I know. I don't know much about Jay-Z. I'm sorry. He knows a lot about everything else, so that's...
Nobody will ever know what they said on that elevator except for the 4 people on that elevator, which I think is funny, but I think
Maybe they were fighting over what floor to get off on, and she wanted second and he wanted third, and there was no 2.5, so disaster.
That's probably it.
Solange is like, Jay-Z, I hate that joke. Every time you press all the buttons on the elevator, nobody thinks that's funny anymore.
No.
Come on. Grow up. Oh, that would be hilarious if it was true. All right, so I wanted to ask you a quick question. So how long ago did you do the ISTE Emerging Leader podcast for May with the new ISTE Emerging Leader?
I think 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Now, Bill Selleck. Let's talk Bill Selleck real quick.
He's hilarious. He's great.
He's a pretty good guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I think you know what he does that makes him look extra special on that podcast? He has backlighting that he brings in. I saw this at Q.
Yeah, it was really, so he did this in front of his entire, he teaches a grad class, and as part of the grad class, they set up professional lighting around him before we went on air, which is really frustrating because the rest of us are like, come on, we can't compete with that.
I know, I was going to say, now Bill Selleck does backlighting. I have the Office of Doom in here. But yeah, when he did that at Q and he brought in these big umbrellas and these lights, I thought, boy, Bill is serious about the podcasting. Holy cow.
That's what I do. Yes. You guys don't do that?
Oh, you don't? I didn't know you were doing that, Alison. Yes, now that you say it, it looks great. All right, well, on Techlandia, we like to get 3 Twitter users to follow. We'd like you to talk about 3 things that you really are passionate about, Krista, and go ahead and just lay one of your 3 things that you'd like to talk about on us a little bit, and we'll see if we can jump in and chat with you about it.
Okay. Let's see here. Well, one of the things that's been preoccupying my brain lately is just professional development. Just because my last job I worked in professional development, my new job I'm working in professional development, and trying to personalize it a bit more. Just because, you know, when I started PD, I was just talking at people, which, let's be honest, no one wants to sit and listen to me talk, and it didn't go well. But the whole idea of personalizing PD and getting every teacher where they're at, helping them move, figuring out where they need to go, I don't know, it's a lot to think about. And lately, it's been kind of rolling around in my brain that the most important thing is to kind of tell really good stories about why we should be doing certain things. And so, I don't know. I guess I never thought much about stories before, but it seems that stories motivate a lot more than data, and not sure where I'm really going with that, but that's kind of been my focus lately, is how do you tell really, really good stories? Because I think a lot of schools are doing cool things, but they're not being shared out much past their own community or with each other. And so it's kind of like redoing the wheel every single time a new school wants to do something. Right.
That's what we talked with Joe Sanfilippo and Tony Sinanis a little bit about, was like the branding your school thing.
I like the crickets.
This is because Joe Sanfilippo's the crickets in Wisconsin. But so the funny thing is, I gave a speech in Chicago last week where I got to talk to a bunch of like chief technology officers. It was like 50 chief technology officers. People I'd never talked to before. They'll probably never have me again, because there was like 2 of them that would laugh at me, and then the other 48 were like, "Dude, what are you doing?" But I talked to them about professional development, and this is actually the true story that I told. I said, professional development is very broken right now, and none of the chief technology officers had heard of Ed Camps, and Ed Camp Chicago had happened last Saturday, so wow. I told them about it a little bit, and I thought, these are things that you should know a little bit. And I wasn't trying to be like mean or anything about it, but I did tell them the story that I was just redoing my backyard, and I hauled 9,000 pounds of Colorado River rock, no lie, in a broken wheelbarrow back to my backyard from the street. And 2 people that I was in a Voxer conversation with said, well, we were in this horrible professional development where it was a good topic, but they were lecturing at us, and it was about questioning. And they said, I would rather haul 9,000 pounds of Colorado River rock for 2 hours than sit through the PD I just sat through. And I said, no, you wouldn't have. And they were like, no, yes, we really would have. And I thought, if that isn't a sign that professional development is broken, right? I mean, they were dead serious. They would have rather just done hard labor. And I'm like, wow, I thought they were kidding, but they were really not kidding.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And then just talk to these chief technology officers and just be like, you know, we need to start to do some, you know, there's got to be something that needs to be done if teachers are taking it themselves and trying to do things. So do you have any solutions for what to do, Krista? I mean, do you have any ideas for what? Yeah, for ideas
if
for what?
It wouldn't be broken, no.
We know it's broken, but I mean, I was trying to. I always tried to give like some ideas to them. I'm like, why
Yeah.
don't you try some ed camp? I'm like, you don't have to pay a ton for professional development. These teachers come in on their own on Saturdays. They really are concerned. There's good teachers out there. We're concerned. We want to learn what we want to learn. We don't want to learn what you're forcing at us.
Yeah. Well, I think that, I mean, the thing is, everyone comes with good intentions. So even the people who are giving the professional development, I mean, they have the right intentions. It's maybe they just don't necessarily have the right delivery system. But I mean, I feel like that's so similar to a lot of teachers, where, I mean, there's a lot of kids, who complain about school's boring, my teacher's lecturing at me. It's the same thing. There's good intentions. They want to reach kids. It's just all that other stuff that's going on that's blocking them. So I don't know. I feel like I don't really have an answer there.
No, I agree with the good intentions. No one wakes up. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to go just.
Oh, it'd be really boring today.
Really terrible, and waste a whole bunch of people's time, including my own. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know. I might do that. No, but I thought one of the funny things we did was we did this. There was a mobile learning conference in early September. And a guy named Felix Giacomino and I did this one where it was kind of at the end of the conference, and so what we said was we gave them kind of a concept, and we told the teachers, we said they were in like round tables, and it was a good format for it. And so we said, take what you've learned from this mobile learning conference, and now the whole idea was to teach something to someone that has no concept of what's going on, and try and use the tools or whatever, and kind of like make a little presentation or whatever you do, or explain what your mode, how you're going to do it, and we'll be around to answer questions. And I thought it was kind of cool, actually. I mean, we had about an hour and a half, and
that's good. What's the name of the conference that Felix does, John? I forget.
That one is I think it might be called Miami Device.
Thank you. Every time we say Miami Device, Felix tweets me a free copy. Thanks, Felix. And I think John actually gets paid dozens and dozens of dollars every time he mentions it. So, no, but seriously, it is a very great-looking conference. All right, so Krista, your job is professional development manager. Mm-hmm. Who writes your paychecks? Who are you working for?
Digital Promise. So just joined back in January, and Digital Promise is a nonprofit authorized by Congress. Started a few years ago. Probably the most interesting thing about us is our new CEO, who started in June, is Karen Cater, who is the last director of the Office of Ed Tech. And so she came on in June, and since then hired a ton of people. We've gotten a lot more funding, and they hired me, which was nice, and we've kind of gotten the ball rolling on a lot of initiatives. So.
Yeah, so you've had like your past 6 months have just been crazy busy, because I saw you at a conference in Wisconsin in December, and at the time I think were you director of instructional technology for the Kettle Moraine School District?
Yep. So that was in December. Moved out here in January, and actually I started in a different role. I started with their digital badges initiative, just for 3 or 4 months, helping to get that off the ground, and then I moved over to this. So I've had 3 different jobs in about 6 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though so thinking of what you had done in the K-12 world with what you're doing now in the world of think tanks and policy influence and all that, what is the biggest difference for you?
Actually, right now it's pretty similar. I thought it would be a lot more different. So right now I'm working with schools still. I'm helping them develop professional development strategies. I'd say the biggest difference is just because it is in the nonprofit world, I have more connections than I did before, which is honestly a little frustrating because I wanted to make a huge difference in my district, but I didn't have the same connections I do now. And so it's a little bit easier to get momentum with where I'm trying to go. But I think that more and more people are making really good connections, and it's moving faster, and I think I just didn't know about a lot of those networks when I was by myself in a district.
Mm-hmm. Do you get to wear jeans more often? Because I think that maybe that's the biggest difference in the world of K-12 with what you're doing now.
Yes.
You do? Okay.
It's also the California thing where people roll into work about 9 a.m., jeans, flip-flops. Depends on the surfing day.
That totally sounds like Bill Selleck and Scott Bedley, don't you think, John? Don't they seem like jeans and flip-flop kind of guys? John, we can't hear you. Not at all. So you know what? Krista and I are going to keep talking.
Great conversation.
Yeah, it is. All right. Let me see what other questions I have for. Okay, so Digital Promise. Arnie Duncan, Secretary Duncan, is behind that. How did you ever get to see him?
No, I haven't met him. I'm trying to think. I think Karen, our CEO, worked with him, but we actually have an office out in D.C., so they're a little bit closer to the stuff that's going on there. But we're bipartisan. We're technically not connected, but we sort of are, whatever that means. I'm not sure. It's like the stamp of approval, I guess.
All right. And John is still struggling over there trying to talk. And John, we can't hear you. No, nothing yet. But Krista, so how about you were talking about connections, that you have a lot of good connections now. And I know you did before, when you were still working in Wisconsin in a school district. But who are some of the Twitter users you want to talk about?
Twitter users, yeah. So Diana Neby, who I just met in our May podcast for the ISTE Young Educator Network, she's actually this year's ISTE Young Educator of the Year. She's based out of the San Francisco Bay Area and is doing really cool things in her English classroom. So her Twitter handle, I think it's called, is dneebe, Neebe. So definitely her. Also Greg Ottinger, who I had sort of met through the Google Certified Teacher Program, but never directly. And he's down at the San Diego County of Ed, and finally met him in person, and he's doing incredible things down there. I mean, they really got their stuff together. I mean, it's a tightly run ship, and they've got tons of different initiatives. It's very organized. I was really impressed by them.
Yeah, and that's so his handle is G Ottinger, Gottinger.
Yeah, and then the last one, Kelsey Vrooman, who I've known for a while. I met her at ISTE a few years ago. She actually helped me move out to California. She was a really good friend and flew to Denver, drove the other half of the way with me. But she's the director of tech at the San Francisco Urban School. So she's KVroom EDU.
So how much stuff did you bring with you? So you're going from Wisconsin, and it's January, and it's horrible weather. What did you bring with? Just whatever could fit in one car?
Yeah, so I sold everything. I sold all my furniture in about 2 weeks, and it was right over Christmas. I finally got to the point where I basically was giving it away, and then anything I could fit in my Ford Fiesta, which is a very tiny car. So I sold my kayak, and that killed me. I actually left my bow behind because I shoot archery, so that still is not here. It was tough. You had to decide, do I keep the handmade quilt? Do I keep the TV? TV went. Quilt came with, so yeah, it was good though. It's nice having less stuff.
Yeah, I know my wife and we've always enjoyed moving because it really makes you think about, do I want to carry that? No, I don't. So either you don't buy it or you just get rid of it all. So
yeah, and you also appreciate the strong lifters in your family a lot more.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Samuelson, are you back with us?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, that's good.
Welcome to Techlandia, John.
Hi. I don't know if Krista, I don't know if I've ever messed up this much during a podcast, so I don't know if that's an honor or what. You guys were saying all these things too, and I wanted to jump in, and I couldn't do it. You were talking about my boy Arnie Duncan, and the mic wasn't. I know. Now it's already gone. So. Poor Arnie. I'm glad. I mean, someday you know what, he's really good at basketball. That's one thing I know about him.
Right, John, what you need to do is just let it go. Let it go. It is. And I know that's one of the things that Krista wanted to talk about. Just one of the loves in her life right now is the Disney movie Frozen. Was that you, or was that someone else?
Oh, yeah, I definitely wrote that. I don't know what it was.
No, it's good.
Wait, I wrote that in.
No, that's my fault.
No,
it's amazing, though. It's honestly amazing because, I grew up with Disney movies, and the princess always falls in love in the first hour. And this one, it's like she falls in love in the first hour, and then they make fun of her the rest of the movie. I'm like, finally, some sense. And then there's that amazing song that actually is on regular radio stations, the Let It Go one. I don't know. It's great.
I mean, I like the movie, and I have an 8-year-old daughter who's singing all of those songs too. And whether or not she would have liked it, I would have loved the movie too. I thought it was really, really good.
Well, I'm not 8, but I love it too, I'll be honest.
You're not 8. No, absolutely not. You're doing fantastic things in the world for someone who's not 8. No matter how old they are, you're doing great stuff.
I have to say, my favorite character in Frozen was the snowman.
Oh
Is that
yes.
Olaf? Is that his name,
Olaf.
Olaf?
Olaf was pretty great.
I appreciate Olaf, but he's kind of like the Jar Jar Binks of the movie.
Oh yeah,
No,
you're all right.
had he not been in the movie, I think it still would have been enjoyable. I think maybe the reindeer might have got a little more play. What's his name? Lars? I forget the name of the reindeer.
Lars, no,
Reindeer
you're
is good.
thinking of the guy from Metallica.
Oh yeah,
That's what you're
yeah. Lars Ulrich.
Yeah, Lars Ulrich, the guy that tried to sue Napster. Oh, that's funny. All right, well, Frozen is good. I liked the movie a lot, and it was the first movie I saw last year. That was what I saw. Frozen was the first movie, so I gotta love it too.
Nice.
All right. So do you want to? All right. So did you talk about your Twitter people already?
Yes, we
While I was trying to do that. Okay. So do you want to talk a little bit more about the ISTE Educator of the Year and like what your job is? Because do you run that podcast or and it's like a monthly podcast, right? Isn't it? Do you do that for ISTE as well?
Yeah, it wasn't connected with the award. It was just they needed someone to do it, and I was there and said okay. And I'd never done a podcast, and I messed up really bad on the first couple ones.
I know how
But
you feel.
it's gotten better. It's gotten better.
No, I thought it was great. I was watching it. I thought it was great, and it's good because you kept it at about a half hour, which I know is the way Allison would like to keep our podcast sometimes.
Well, we started at an hour, and people, after about a half hour, it just went downhill. So.
That's us too.
That's us. Ours go downhill after like 2 minutes after I have to tell my wife to turn off Netflix. So that's when ours start to go downhill. All right. So all right, Chris, I have a question for you. All right. So I know that we met very briefly at the Q conference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So you're in Kettle Moraine. I heard the lovely and talented Allison Anderson just raving about you, like how happy she was to meet you and things like this. So how do you go from there working in the middle of the year at Kettle Moraine to going and working for Digital Promise? Like, did you apply for the job? Did they find you? Like, I'm sure a lot of people are curious about that. Like, how do you go from that like next step or something? Or I just wonder how you got that job.
Well, ideally, I would not have left in the middle of the school year.
Right.
So one of the things I was working on at Kettle Moraine was this project with a lot of other districts called the EdTech Challenge, and essentially it was this professional development curriculum we tried to build 6 different units for teachers, align them to the ISTE standards, and then the big pieces of that were for each unit, you could have a hands-on workshop with it and deliver it in a blended format. So kind of before when we were talking personalized PD, we had 6 districts once show up. They all were using the same Google Site template. We did it in a blended workshop, 4 hours long, and a lot of the teachers went away saying, this is the first time I've ever been in a blended environment, and I definitely want to teach this way now. So it's that whole idea of modeling. A couple pieces of that were a survey at the beginning where they could kind of think about where they were at and set goals. A learning portfolio, so every teacher in my district had a portfolio to set goals and then kind of go at their own pace and what they wanted to do. And then where we got stuck was the fact that our professional development was still 16 required hours. So we were saying, hey, let's personalize, but you need to report 16 hours. And so that's kind of still off, the whole idea of seat time. And I don't know, I felt stuck. And so when I first got hired at Digital Promise, they were working on a badges initiative, but the bigger idea behind it was competency-based professional development. So giving teachers more options to learn wherever they were going to learn, on the internet, in person, wherever, and then go in and show basically that they could do something. And so that was kind of why I made the shift. And actually my superintendent was just out in California helping with that initiative a little bit.
Yeah, and I love it that you're basing it on some set of standards, but certainly the NETS-T. I just had this conversation recently with Joe Sanfilippo and Tom Whitford, who I think you've probably met when I saw you in December.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing that we talked about. How soon is it until we start saying that the new teachers we're going to hire or the ones we have, should be proficient in the NETS-T? But even more than that, if we were to take the NETS-A right now, which for those of you who don't know who are listening, just their standard technology standards for administrators from ISTE. If we were to give those NETS-A to all of our administrators right now, how many of them would be even close to proficient in any of them? And I think it's a very small percentage. Not to fault administrators, it's just it never has been an expectation at all. And I think it really needs to start shifting that way, because so many of our students will find great learning opportunities in a blended environment, like you talked about, Krista, with some of the PD you were doing with your staff.
Well, the thing too is when you go home, you live in a blended environment. You don't know how to hard boil an egg. You look it up on the internet, and so it's become sort of ridiculous that we think, all right, all these learning tools that we use when you go in school, pretend they don't exist. Put it in your pocket. We have a no cell phone policy, and so it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, we need to get there faster.
Yeah, we do. And for those of you at home, Kurt was not saying that he wants some Nest tea, iced tea. He was saying the Nets tea.
The Nets.
But also a song by Janet Jackson, Nets Tea Boy. I think that it's interesting because we've got, I know that at ed camps now, and not to keep being the ed camp person, but I do love ed camps, is that they're giving out the certificates, and they think that those should count as hours towards professional development and things like that, because I know that in my old school district they have had so many snow days, which means it was threatening to be below 30 degrees, and they're going to have to go to school on Memorial Day. But I know that those teachers are going to have to go like those couple extra, times, and there should be something that I don't know if it's a lack of trust where that they're actually working. I mean, if they had a portfolio like you were saying on that website, and that might be enough to gain some momentum so that they wouldn't, people wouldn't have to be going to sit in a room for 8 hours for like 3 days over the summer like they have to in Texas. I think I think that creates a bad attitude towards professional development. Then they're like, oh, I just got out of school, but now here I'm going to go learn this, and it can be a bad thing. And oh, whoops, the air conditioning got cut off at 1 o'clock, and now we have to sit there for another hour and a half. Those things happen, and I don't know. I think that it's cool. Now on that, I was checking out that website. So how the districts go ahead and sign up? Are you still working with that at all? Is that website still going? Is somebody still trying to get like the district signed up?
We're still working on it. Okay. My goal was to get it done a while ago, but there was the whole move across the country thing that kind of impeded on that. But so myself and about 5 other people are kind of spearheading it, and so we have 2 more work sessions, and then it's going to be done. It will be done. I'm saying it will be done by ISTE, and then we're doing a presentation on Sunday about it. And I mean, districts can sign up and use any of the resources, and so far we've had close to 200 districts sign up, and I'd say probably about 20 or 30 using all of the resources very, very heavily. So that's pretty exciting, because I don't know, I wanted to create something cool for my district and realized it would be way better if other people helped me, and then we thought, let's try to scale this, and I don't know, that's the first time I've ever really done that scaling thing, and it was kind of fun.
And I think that happens way too often in K-12 education, where each district tries to reinvent the wheel, if it's ed tech or if it's RTI or any of these different important high-stakes initiatives, but we try to do it all by ourselves rather than reaching out and saying, hey, let's go in together on this, and let's figure it out and learn from one another.
Yeah.
So I applaud your approach to that.
Yeah, it looks like I was checking out that website. It was pretty impressive. We'll put it on our Listly, because we always link to things from the show. But I think that's really cool. And then it looked like you had a lot of districts that were in the Midwest. Shout out to the Midwest, Kurt, roof. And since I was just there, and it looked like you had a lot of Wisconsin, Illinois. But then I was looking. I'm in Texas right now, and I was looking at it, and I thought, gosh, we just need some people kind of spread out, maybe to spread the word at some conferences, because you could get a lot. I'm sure you could get a lot of Texas people on board for some of those things. I mean, I looked at the one, I was trying to see what zip code it was, and I was like, oh, that looks like San Antonio, maybe. It was kind of around us. But,
where do we find that, Krista?
edtechchallenge.com.
edtechchallenge.com. Okay, everyone needs to check that out.
Yeah, it looks really. I thought it was really cool. I kind of got lost in that for about 20 minutes. I was looking through it all. I'm like, boy, this is impressive. I like it. All right, so Krista, I set you up for this one. Okay, so have you talked about? Now, it's funny that I have to have a recap of my own show here, Kurt. It's like I don't know what's going on. But did you talk about the largest vocabulary in hip hop? Did you talk
No,
about?
we're saving that.
No.
That's why I went with the whole Jay-Z thing, because I was going with the whole Krista has this great knowledge of hip hop. But all right, so I want to look. I haven't looked at it, so I'm going to click on the link now. But go ahead.
Mind-blowing. All right, what is it, Krista?
So, actually, this is pretty cool. Someone recently decided to take all the vocab on a lot of different hip-hop artist songs and basically kind of do a giant analysis of all of it and compare it to, like, Shakespeare and Melville and graft all of these hip-hop artists kind of along a continuum. So Wu-Tang Clan is obviously, on the far right side, like, their vocabulary. And then Tupac's sort of in the middle, and then on the far, left is, like, Kanye, because his vocabulary actually isn't that great.
DMX is actually lowest because he just goes, what? You're gonna make me lose my mind? Up in here, up in here.
I saw Drake was really low on the list there too.
Drake.
Well, all he does is sing about his girlfriends. I'm sorry, that gets old.
Well, he needs better vocabulary about his girlfriend then.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was super cool because I used to be an English teacher and I loved using songs. And so I was like, yes, data to prove that I wasn't crazy for doing this. And so two of my favorite artists were Tupac, actually, and then System of a Down, which is completely different. It's almost metal, but not quite.
Oh, and I see the Insane Clown Posse's there, too.
I give up. So Tupac was great. It was all like social commentary about like classes, and then System of a Down was total government repression. And the best part was you'd have the kids analyze the lyrics, and then you'd play it for them, and it would blow their mind because they never expected to. Especially System of a Down. I mean, there's this one song called "Dreaming," which is all about basically cultures now doing conquest into other cultures, and they'd listen to it and it'd literally be just like screamo music, and they couldn't believe that those lyrics came from that. So
I love that. That is really cool.
So if you hit the Googles and you go try to find the largest vocabulary in hip-hop, you'll come up with this project from Matt Daniels. It's fascinating.
Yeah, and Shakespeare, by the way, he's kind of below Wu-Tang Clan. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Will.
Yeah, Billy Shakespeare.
And Outkast, actually. Outkast is about tied with Shakespeare, which is surprising.
Yeah. I saw the Beastie Boys were up there too. I'm a kind of a Beastie Boy fan. A little bit, just a smidge. But that's really cool. Boy, you could use that for that. That's almost something where you could take that graphic and you could share it, and you could have these cool discussions with your kids. I'm thinking more of like a high school thing, but you could have a discussion with your kids, and then you could have them kind of like branch off and see if they could like create their own kind of graphic, talking about some of the different kinds of things too, and looking at those things. I could see where that would get the kids going on thinking. That would have got me going in high school. I'd have been like, all right, way to go Beastie Boys, or way to go Tupac. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is if you want to use those songs, it's kind of a needle in the haystack finding one that's not filled with swear words. So there's always that.
That's right. Or else it's just a lot of. That's like when my kids watch stuff and they're like, "What's all the beeping?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're not using right words.
They're robots. That's robots.
R2D2.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Hey, Krista, as I was just prepping for the show, or what John likes to call stalking you, as I was looking at the Digital Promise website and looking at the staff there, I was thrilled to see that there are so many women who are in leadership positions or prominent positions, at Digital Promise. So just curious to know if you had a perspective that you wanted to talk about, especially in tech, because I think just in tech in general, it seems like it's a very male-centric thing, but that doesn't seem to be the case at Digital Promise.
Yeah, I feel lucky that I've had a lot of opportunities to work with women who are in really great leadership roles. My superintendent at Kettle Moraine, Pat, was one of my favorite people, and when I met her, I realized that was it. I was like, I want to work for this lady, and I felt pretty similar with Karen. And I don't know. I mean, for me, it's really important, and I feel like there's And actually, I was having this interesting conversation the other day with my coworker Jim, and he was saying that he feels like more and more the idea of leadership is changing, and women in leadership roles, and we're going to see in the next 10 years a big shift in, things being more collaborative, almost more empathetic. And I don't have the experience to comment on that, but it seems like it's a good time for, I guess, women in general to have opportunities that maybe we didn't before.
And there's actually, I just finished a couple of grad classes here as I'm working on my doctorate. But as we take a look at just the research that's in leadership, and that is something that was found in some of these qualitative studies, is that women who are in educational leadership roles, they often value that collaboration more typically than men do, which I think fits along really well with some of these 21st century skills that we hope our students develop, which is collaboration and communication rather than competition, which for a long time has been a male thing. Yeah. So especially when you think about a large majority of many of our educators are women, but then if you look at administration in schools, it's it's a lot of men, and but I'm an administrator, I'm a white male. But certainly I'm just trying to develop my own awareness about better ways to give everybody an opportunity, so that hopefully our leadership in schools, whether it's in schools or in corporations or think tanks, who support education, that everybody has an opportunity to be a leader, not just what has historically been done.
Yeah.
John, can we get your white male opinion on all that too?
I'm down with the white man. Down with the white man. Let's replace Arnie Duncan right now. Come on, women. Let's take out Arnie Duncan right now. No, I'm trying to mobilize the women to take out Arnie Duncan. That'd be pretty funny. No, I mean, I'm like Kurt. I mean, I worked primarily in the elementary school. So when I went through my education classes at Eastern Illinois University, shout out to Tony Romo, that I was the only male in pretty much any of my classes, with 21 other female students that we went through our little cohort together. So I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I don't know why. I don't know. I think that there should be more women. I would welcome, look at Kurt right there. I mean, do we want all of our principals to look like Kurt? No, I would like to have some women in administrative positions. There should be a better balance, I think. And
I think your leadership should reflect the population of all your schools.
Yeah. So even your students. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just very interesting. But I'll have to look. I didn't stalk you on the Digital Promise website. I stalked you more on the other website. So I'm sorry. Kurt and I, we try and divvy up the stalking. I mean research. Okay, so now you talked a little bit about leaving your bow. I did hear that you said you left your bow in Wisconsin. I was going to say, oh, you left a man in Wisconsin. But you were talking about your bow.
No, like an actual bow.
Right, exactly. See, I have good jokes if I can actually have a microphone that works. I'm okay with it. So tell us a little bit about it, because I think it's fascinating, because one of the things that we tried to get her into was archery. And it was really difficult, and I took the class with Gwen, and we didn't even both of us were the only people that didn't have the passing equivalent, so we had to take the class over again.
Oh, so no. It's competency-based archery. I like it.
Yes.
You have to just put in time.
But so tell us a little bit about the archery and some of your things to do, because it looks like on there you're very active, whereas active for me is getting on Voxer and walking around the block trying to take steps for my Fitbit. So that's my activity.
Yeah. So I started archery kind of randomly. Where do I go with this?
Before the Hunger Games.
Yes, I was before the Hunger Games. I'm the hipster of archery.
You were old school archery.
So I was basically working as a theater tech director while I was a teacher, and so light design, set design, construction, all that. And with that, I wanted to build a website. And as I was building this website for the theater, I had a friend who was doing archery, and he wanted a new website for their archery organization. And I was like, okay, I don't really know much about this. I can try to do it. And I ended up building them a website. and then another website for another archery organization, and then a third one for another archery organization. Finally, I was like, all right, this is it. I'm just going to buy a bow. And so I bought one. I had never shot a bow, except for maybe in high school, and I don't remember that. I think it just kind of went bing and hit the ground, next to my foot. And so I bought it, went down to the archery range, and found some nice people to help me who were kind enough to help me, knowing that they might get shot by me, and I didn't shoot him, and I don't know, since then it was kind of something I just kept going with, and I enjoyed it. So.
What kind of bow do you have?
It is a diamond, and it's, I don't know, I actually don't know enough about bows.
I only know one brand.
It's not a Hoyt, which is what my friend has, and he was very upset with me, but I'm not going to spend $700 on a carbon bow.
I just know that the Matthews bows are produced over here in
also
Western
Matthews. When I taught in Reedsburg, we actually had a girls' archery team, girls and guys archery team, which was probably bigger than the dance team, and they all shot Matthews, so that was the brand there.
That's pretty cool. I thought it was a lot of fun. The lady that was kind of like trying to do the scoring so we could pass and go to the next class was kind of like, I can't really give you a certificate of achievement, but you guys are going to have to try this again. I just looked at Gwen. I'm like, hey, it's okay. I said everybody fails. Just we're the only two. It was fun. It was a lot of fun though. She liked it, and I don't know. We should have kept trying, but we didn't. I don't know. It's hard sometimes on I don't know, on my schedule. Yeah. I don't even know what that means. I don't. But so let me think. Wisconsin. Have you ever been, Chris? Have you ever been to Milwaukee?
Yes, I grew up north of Milwaukee. Been to Milwaukee quite a bit.
Now, can you describe Milwaukee a little bit for Kurt? Because Kurt has lived in La Crosse for since 2003 and has never been to Milwaukee.
What? Are you serious?
I've been to Oak Creek, which I know isn't
No,
Milwaukee.
that's not Milwaukee. That doesn't even come close.
I know. I'll get there eventually. I'm waiting for Carl Lindgren Stryker. He's going to come pick me up.
Oh, my God.
We're going to go. It's going to be a good time.
So Milwaukee is basically craft breweries, cheese, and factories. And the Milwaukee Public Museum, which is amazing.
It is very amazing. I've been there many times with Papa Sammy. Kurt, how have you not been to Milwaukee yet? Craft beer and cheese, that's right up your alley.
I'll get there. I promise.
Okay,
I don't want to rush a good thing.
Okay. All right. Well,
my Milwaukee virginity is intact, and I'm not going to give it up just because you tell me.
All right. I just think it's fun. I think it's a funny thing, though. Don't you think, Krista? Don't you think at one time in 11 years that it would just happen that Kurt should go to Milwaukee at some point, like an administrator meeting or something?
Been to Milwaukee? I don't know. That's kind of crazy if you haven't.
Yeah, I'll get there. I even changed my Twitter profile to reflect that I'll get to Milwaukee. I stated in a positive. I'll get there.
Oh, good. Okay. Because he was formerly Whisk principal on the Twitters, but I can't. He hasn't been to the most populous city of Wisconsin. I just think it's funny.
I'll get there. I promise.
Krista, do you have anything else that you would like to share with us right now? That what are on the plans for the future then? So tell us about some of the things that you're going to be doing at the old ISTE conference. This will probably be the first year out of the last 7 that I won't go.
Oh, no.
I've been to 7 in a row. I want to say maybe 6, but it's either 6 or 7. And so tell us what's in the plans. How many presentations? You talked about the Sunday one. Do you have any other ones besides that?
Yeah, I have too many this year because I honestly, I'm not going to sleep at all because I had signed up to do a bunch before I joined my new job, and now with my new job, I'm doing extra ones, so it's kind of doubled. So let me think here. One thing that's really cool that we're doing again is the Iron Chef competition that we started last year.
Oh, okay, I remember that one. Allison went to that one.
So basically, people show up in the room and they pick ingredients. We give them 4 different challenges to pick from, and they pick ingredients, and they have to kind of craft their challenge and whatever it is. And so they get a random team when they show up, and then 2 days later, they present, and we have judges, and so it's sort of like the Iron Chef, but ed tech focused. And so this is the second year we'll be doing that, and it was a lot of fun last year, and I think it was we had a good group, so we'll do that again.
I like ideas like that. I think that those are fun. And you know what? You seem like you would be a perfect person. Are you doing an Ignite talk?
I didn't sign up.
Okay, you didn't sign up. Did you think about it?
I would. I need to sleep.
You would have, but you're like, I'm doing so much already. I think that. Okay, all right. So we'll forgive you for that.
I think you would be very good. You're well spoken. It's probably your theater training that's helped you. Some of us get stuck on saying and and your speech is clear of all of those fillers, so you would rock.
Is it really?
That session. Huh. Yes, it is.
Never noticed.
All killer, no filler.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Google Classroom. I see that's coming out. What do any of you know about Google Classroom?
Oh, Krista's got to know about Google Classroom.
I'm so excited about Google Classroom.
So am I. I don't know anything, but I'm excited.
I'm excited, and I know nothing too. All right, do you know more than nothing?
I probably don't know much more than nothing. All I know is a lot of my teachers, getting them on Google Drive, getting them on Google Docs. Then how on earth do you manage the workflow? And that's the biggest disaster of everything. So we couldn't afford Hapara, so we didn't go the Hapara route. And then there were also those scripts like Doctopus and Formule, and you could kind of do that. But that, just to build that solution was difficult for every teacher. And so Google Classroom is free. It's built by Google. It'll help manage the workflow. That's amazing. I'm so excited about it. So I think they're opening up applications for pilots right now, but I don't know when it's going to be official.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to one of those pilot teachers. That'd be an interesting, because I was actually, when I went to the conference with the CTOs, of course I found the one teacher that was sitting there, and we talked for like 20 minutes. Kurt, he would be a great guest for Techlandia. Actually, he was going to do a Google Hangout on air, or just a Google Hangout, and he was with somewhere in Africa, and that's what he was going back to do the next day, and it was really cool. He had some great ideas he was doing in Chicago. But he told me a little bit about the old Google, and I was like, wow. He's like, like Doctopus and the scripts, it might totally shift those then. And I thought, wow, that's crazy. Yeah. So if you had all those features built in.
Yeah, that's what I like about all the Google products, especially doing Google Apps for Education. They all just work, and they work well with one another. So hopefully Google Classroom does the same thing. I wanted to talk quick just about planforprogress.org, and it's progress.org. They have a digital readiness survey, which I think is fantastic. I haven't used it, but we have it on our agenda to do as an administrative team this summer. And Tom Murray, or on Twitter he's Thomas C. Murray, he had shared this in a Voxer group I'm in with him. And so many school districts just jump into tech and say, hey, we're going to do tech. We're going to go one-to-one. We're going to buy 8,000 Chromebooks, and we're going to make it work. but they don't think about that there's no plan for making it happen. So too frequently we buy a lot of devices, but the instructional side isn't ready for it. So we have, that's what I like to call shiny gadget syndrome, where we think just buying that shiny gadget is going to fix everything. But if you go to planforprogress.org, find the digital readiness survey, and it will assess kind of where you're at in your district, and then it has a rubric that goes with it, and we'll give you some action steps about where you need to go next to integrate digital technology into your school district.
That's cool. That's needed, don't you think? That's almost like what Chris is talking about with professional development. We kind of need to get going on the same page a little bit and quit trying to, be all these. Well, that is interesting. I'll take a look at that one too. We'll put that one on the listly as well. I'm making extra work for myself, which is great. Did you want to talk about the book as well, Kurt?
Yeah, since lots of love for Wisconsin tonight, since Krista had.
Yeah, we have to give Wisconsin love.
Yep, Pernell Rip, who is just a fantastic teacher and someone I really enjoy. She has a new book that's out, and it's called Passionate Learners: Giving Our Classrooms Back to Our Students. And Tony Sinanis has written a nice review of it. You can find it over on his blog. But it's a really good book about Pernell's thoughts on connecting with students and making sure that our classroom environments and our school environments are student-centered.
We need a sound effect for Tony, don't we? Do you think we need a sound effect for Tony? I don't know if it's it should be the turn down for what button. Let's see. What would be our sound effect? Can we? All right. So Google, if you're doing Google Classroom, can we make a request? We would like more sound effects.
More sound effects.
More cowbell. That's what we need. Oh man, that's funny. Well, I think that Kurt, Krista is writing a book right now. I can tell. Krista, you want to talk about your book?
I'm writing a book right now.
Okay. I was a shot in the dark. I thought maybe that you.
I would love to write a book. I don't know.
Corwin is drafting an email right now to Krista. They're cranking out books all the time.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. She's like, oh, maybe I am. Well, you know what, Chris? I was looking for a collaborator on a book. We were going to write the life story of Carl Lindgren Omelette, otherwise known as Carl Lindgren Stryker. It's a story of a young Wisconsin boy, moves to California, starts organizing ed camps, starts to kind of find his way in the world, gets a Fitbit, walks around and hikes a lot, and just finds love and happiness and teaches his students with all of his heart. That's my new book. And if you want to co-author with me, I'll be happy to.
Sounds good.
We'll make a Google Doc for it. Well, Krista, thank you for being out here, and I'm sorry that I ran into so many technical difficulties. I have to say, Netflix does take precedence in the Samuelson household. I am watching, though. I have taken to Amazon, and I am watching Justified right now.
Amazon Instant Video.
Amazon, right? So I've got the Amazon Prime, and I have to say, Krista, this is just between you and me. I watched Justified, and it takes place in Kentucky, and so now all I do is, instead of Timothy Oliphant, I just picture Kurt Reese as the lead character, because Kurt is going to get his doctorate from the University of Kentucky and plays for their basketball team.
Their digital basketball team, yes I do.
Their digital basketball team, and it's just great. If you pick that, Justified is so much more entertaining if you just picture Kurt Reese coming in as the main character. And I do that all. I was like, wow, Kurt, way to go! You're pretty good with the guns there, Kurt. So anyway,
I'll have to find the show. I don't even.
Oh, you've never seen Justified? Okay, well, I just started watching it because I had Amazon, and my wife keeps watching Netflix, so I can't watch at the same time unless I pay more. Krista, for ISTE, give us your final thoughts on ISTE. If somebody is new and going to ISTE, it's not too early for ISTE talk now. What are your three tips for ISTE if you're a new person and you're going down to Hotlanta for ISTE, besides number one on my list, go meet Jamie Vander G. That's my tip for you. But okay, go ahead.
I'd say number one, Bloggers Cafe, just because it's terrifying to walk in, and at first no one talks to you, but eventually you start talking to people, and I think that's my favorite part, is just talking to people at ISTE. I mean, the sessions, are great, but it's the conversations and the networking, that's the best part. Number two, Iron Chef, just because it's going to be awesome again. I don't know. It was a lot of fun last year, and I think it was just because it gave the participants a chance to talk and shine, and we got to sit back and watch them, and that was a lot of fun from our end. So I'd say check us out.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then number three, it's Atlanta. Plan to bring a lot of deodorant because I don't want to smell you.
That's right.
Good call.
Deodorant, heavy deodorant, right? And you know what I used to do at the ISTEs when I used to go is I used to go session to session to session and schedule out from like 8 until 4. And I really think that if you do that, you'll just talk about Hotlanta, your brain will be fried. So you need to kind of schedule that time in the blog. I mean, there's always going to be something worth going to, don't you think? At any time, just kind of try and temper it out a little bit and don't try and do everything. I remember I used to take the PTA money and they would I would write up the proposal to go, and I always felt like I owed them to go to every single moment that I could possibly go to, and it just you don't end up getting a lot out of it as if you could like take a little bit of time here or there, and go to the Bloggers Cafe and talk, or go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
All right, well, it'll be fun. Look for Krista down at ISTE at the Iron Chef Morimoto. Chef Morimoto will be there signing his new book. No, I'm just kidding. And we'll be there signing our new book about Carl Lindgren Omelette. Kurt, watch this one. Watch this. Hey, Allison, do you have any final words, Allison? What? Allison is having worse technical difficulties than me today? Krista, thank you for being on. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much, Krista.
All right, and we will catch you all on the flip side.